Hey everybody, I'm Mitch. Welcome to the Legendary Galaxy. On today's episode, we're going to make a full-size battle droid. Let's do this. I recently just returned from Galaxy's Edge, and while I was there, my daughter said, "Hey Dad, we really need a life-size battle droid that says Roger, Roger." And I said, "Yeah, we do, don't we?" So I got these files from Droid Division on Etsy. I've used Droid Division files before and they were awesome, so these should be the same. So here's the finished battle droid head. It's super cool. It makes me excited to continue on the project. Printed the back pieces, put them together with the neck, and I just guess I'll keep printing, starting with the feet. So the recommendation was to start with the head and then go to the feet and watch the droid get built up. And then the thigh, and I've assembled it all together, not gluing it yet, and getting really excited. So I decided to plastic epoxy the legs together, and it goes onto a closet rod, which is pretty ingenious of the designer, and just gluing them together with this epoxy. And then it was lots of sanding to get down some of the lines and get it a lot smoother, even though the prints did come out well. And then I take this filler primer, and it does wonders to get rid of a lot of the layer lines. After you spray it, you still have to do lots of sanding. Since I had the head already, I decided to paint the head. And then the next step is I take some Bondo car putty and start filling in all the lines and getting the really big layer lines to try and get them taken away. And after it dries, lots more sanding, and another coat of primer, and even more sanding. In fact, I was so tired of sanding, I tried this method with my multi-tool, a little sander on it, but the multi-tool on the lowest speed was just way too fast, and I ended up melting it. So I don't recommend doing this. But here is the torso, and this print took a long time, 78 hours here. So I've kind of put it together so you can see what it's starting to look like. This has just been primed with filler primer, not sanded yet. The legs are getting close. It needs a little bit more sanding on the top here, but it's cool to see it coming along. Then I decided to spray it with the chrome paint I use, and that's the underneath layer. So after I let the chrome paint dry for at least a day, I started preparing it to spray the next layer by using this masking fluid. And I usually use a toothpaste just to do this, but since this is such a big piece, I decided to use this liquid masking fluid, and it's a latex type thing, and so it dries rubbery. So after you let it dry, then you spray the next layer of spray paint over it, and that's my tan color. And you can see it just makes chips when you rub it off. I'm just using like a hard sponge, rubbing it where the masking fluid was, and it reveals the silver underneath, just giving it a paint chip look. And sometimes you have to pick at it a little bit to start the latex and then rub it a little bit more. I wanted my droid to be a commander droid, so I used a circle here, and I just thought, oh, I'll just mask it off on top here. And I'm like, oh, this will be cool. And then I started removing the paper I just kind of taped down. It was taking off the paint. And I realized how bad an idea it was, because it just ripped off the silver layer. But I was able to save it with a little bit of just holding the piece of paper down and spraying again. And on the head, I just used the groove to kind of hold a piece of paper in place to paint it. And that seemed to work well instead of taping it off. And then just starting the painting part, just painted the eyes in with acrylic. And now I'm going to dirty it up. I chipped it up, now I'm just dirtying it up. This is just watered down acrylic paint, and then I just do it everywhere and then just kind of wipe it off. And the dirty rag really helps this effect, so it's a little subtle, but I can just use the rag to make it a little dirtier because there's paint on it. So I just go over the whole droid, just putting this watered down acrylic paint and then just kind of dabbing it off, wiping it off. It's kind of just a fun process, knowing that you can just wipe it off if it gets too much, and then it just looks really like it's a droid that's been used. And now I'm gonna do some scratches. I just take silver paint and make scratches with a really old yucky brush, and it kind of just works perfect. So one of the things that I wanted the droid to do is say Roger, Roger. So I bought this $20 little electronic on Amazon, and it's for porches for screams on Halloween, and I just took it apart. Pretty easy to unplug the speakers. And I had this speaker left over that I traded out, and it was still really loud. So I don't know what's on this board, but I wired it and put it in the back, and it worked out perfect. And then I clipped the motion sensor off the board and wired it so it was longer, and just put it in here, then cut the battery pack out, and it worked perfectly. It was really loud.
Roger, Roger.
And you can see if I move my hand,
Roger, Roger.
it works. So here he is all done. You can see he's a lot taller than me. He's 6'4", and I ended up printing a blaster for him also, so it'd look more intimidating when people came in my room. What a fun project. It took me about 2 months to finish. Used about 4 or 5 cans of filler primer, a couple cans of this tan, a can of the silver, with the blaster about 12 rolls of filament. So be sure to like and subscribe, and join me again on the next episode of The Legendary Galaxy.